As a coach who works with ADHD entrepreneurs, I have heard every reason in the book as to why someone's neurodiversity has gotten in the way of them being successful in business. And I too have ADHD and have had multiple businesses in the past that have not succeeded. This is the first one that has done well. And I will say there is something to neurodiversity getting in the way of being successful in business or any pursuit in life if you don't know how to manage and think about your brain in the right way. So in today's video, I thought what I would do is dispel some of the myths that I have heard from my own clients as to why they have not been successful and help you understand that what's really getting in your way is the beliefs and stories you have about yourself and what you can and cannot do. So by the end of the video, I'm hoping that you're walking away with at least some clarity on, yeah, this might be something I can do, and give you enough courage to gently push you in the right direction of your dreams. So on that note, let's get into it. But before we do, welcome. My name is Karen McGill. I'm an ADHD coach and creator, and I'm here for the busy, ambitious brains who want to start and be successful in business, but the brains are kind of all over the place until today. So let's get into it. The first story or belief I hear so much, and you probably believe it yourself too, is that you can't be successful because you're not organized. You have ADHD, and organization is an executive function that we all struggle with, yours truly included. And because of that, we can't be successful because everything's all over the place and it's just chaos. And if that were true, then I wouldn't have a successful business today or successful in my own right, because I do struggle with organization. And here's the thing, it's not about organization. It's about having the right system. Every ADHD entrepreneur that I work with says, I suck at organization and everything's always chaotic. And maybe to some degree that is true. But here's the thing, organization is not about some major skill or character flaw that you have. It's about a system that you haven't built yet. My entire business runs on systems. And because I have this system down to such a finely tuned process, I don't have to hire other people. I can get help when I need it, like editors and things like that. But the majority of the work that's done in my business, I do myself with a little help from ChatGPT, but that's it. Having the right systems in place is the only reason I'm successful today. I have shared with you guys before my entire Notion planner and system and how I've structured my business digitally to keep me on track. And of course, if you want to explore that planner, I will link to it either here or here. But no matter what system you choose, it has to be intuitive for your brain and it has to work for you and your business. So number one, stop focusing on the fact that you're disorganized and start thinking instead about the systems you need to build so that organization is less of a priority in your business to begin with. The same is true for consistency. Every ADHD entrepreneur tells me I can't do this business because I can't be consistent. But again, this comes back to the systems that you build. Every Friday, I release a podcast and a video. And every Sunday, I release a newsletter to my audience. And that is the flywheel that keeps my business consistent. I am not consistent or organized, but my deliverables are, because I have a system in place that keeps them running on a regular basis. And generally, I'm working in fits and starts behind the scenes, but it looks consistent because of the systems I have built. And I know it sounds a little nefarious, like what are these systems that this person has built? But it's quite literally on Mondays, I do content. On Tuesdays, I send content to editor. On Wednesdays, I have calls. On Thursdays, I refine and schedule content to get it ready for posting. On Friday, I post. And on Friday, I also do my newsletter for Sunday. And in amongst all of those days, I also do all of the other things in my business that keep it not only running, but growing. So for me, having a weekly workflow, and I have a video that I've done on it, I will post it up here on whatever side it pops up on, if you want to go watch that next. But stick with me here because there's more I need to say about the stories you have about being successful as an entrepreneur with ADHD. The next thing I see in a lot of ADHD entrepreneurs, and I know this one so well because I feel it myself, is that we feel like we are incompetent or that we're not going to be able to do what it is we want to do. We're not going to be able to reach the outcome that we want to reach. And when we have that belief, we subconsciously create goals and expectations that self-sabotage ourselves, because our amygdala, this area in the brain that wants to keep you safe and protected, doesn't actually want you to try anything. Because the more you try and the more you fail, the more the alarm bells are going off in this area of the brain going, don't do that anymore. But here's the conundrum. You have to try and you have to fail and you have to expect that you're going to fail in order to actually come to the point of success. And so many ADHDers are so sensitive to failure. And I understand that completely. And I am 100% that way myself. But I knew, and I've said this before in different videos, that if I wanted to succeed in having my own business, which is the thing that I wanted more than anything else in life, my desire to achieve that had to be bigger than my fear. So however much my fear was controlling what I was doing, my desire and my interest trust and my emotional connection to the goal had to be bigger. And that is the only way I've gotten through this. So I would first ask you to really think hard on that. Are you trying to move towards a business because you are in a job you hate, but you really don't think that entrepreneurship's for you, or you question whether or not it even be something that you enjoy? Because it is such a hard journey that you will definitely fail, because we all do, but those failures will stick with you and you will internalize them rather than them being part of the process to get what you want. What do they say? Failure is the cost of entry. And that is so true in terms of small business, online business, entrepreneurship, big companies. Failure is absolutely the cost of entry, and there's no way you can get around it. So you want to make sure that the outcome is worthwhile, because as you're starting out, you're probably dealing with a lot of the issues that most ADHDers struggle with. So yes, I'm not denying that they're there, but if you also have this belief on top of those issues that you're going to fail and that you don't trust yourself to start, I mean, you've already failed and you haven't even started yet. And that's just going to erode your self-trust even further. So number one, there has to be a comfort level and an expectation that you're going to fail. Number two, the outcome has to be better than the fear that you're probably feeling. And number three, you have to have the self-trust that you will push through the worst of it and actually get where you want to go, one way or the other, come hell or high water. And then the last belief that I think a lot of us are holding on to that is not serving us is this idea of we have to work harder. We have to work harder. If we're not succeeding, it's because we're not working hard enough. And I think that's just a general narrative in our culture and society. But I think when you go through life with that extra sensitivity to failure and rejection sensitive dysphoria, you have these elusive expectations of what hard work is. Like, the reality is that you probably do work very hard, and probably more than the average person, just to do the same amount of work or same amount of output. So your idea of what hard work is already skewed from the beginning. And if you don't feel like you're working hard enough, then you're failing. And I think it's a destructive belief for any of us to have. But if you have ADHD, I want you to lean in and listen to me right now. It is not about working harder. It is about working differently. And what does that actually mean? It's about understanding that you have an interest-based nervous system. So if you're thinking of starting a business that is not 100% aligned with that interest-based nervous system, it's probably not going to work. It's about understanding that you are probably not going to be consistent every day, but that's an unrealistic expectation for anyone, and that you need to focus on building systems and support instead of focusing on the fact that you weren't consistent yesterday or the day before. And you really do need not only social support around you, like people that understand what you're going through and have similar brains and similar thought process, but also support in terms of the structure you need to push through the really hard parts. I've done a couple of videos on the impact that dopamine has on our ability to start things and follow through with them. And the reality is, if you are born with lower levels of dopamine, which ADHDers are, we have a higher tendency to start things, but a much lower tendency to actually follow through with any of them. So if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you need to be aware of that and actively managing your well-being and your dopamine on a daily basis. I've got another video, I will put it up here, that walks through the things that you can do on a daily basis to improve your dopamine levels, not just increase them, but keep them at a steady pace so that you can start things, get through the valley of despair, the sucky parts, and actually follow through with them. Because at the end of the day, you do need to build that skill and that muscle if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, but you don't have to do it alone, and it's not as hard as you think. So this working harder, hustle 24/7 is only going to exhaust you, drain your energy, completely obliterate your focus and attention, and you're going to burn out. And that's not going to feel good. We've all been there, right? So this may sound a little ass backwards, but as an ADHDer, if you want to be successful in business, you actually have to make your well-being a priority so that you have enough dopamine and mental clarity and stick-with-itness to make your business a success as well. So support, structure, processes, systems, actually taking care of your well-being as the first priority in your business. These are actually the things that are going to take you from idea and dream all the way through to completion. But also don't forget that interest-based nervous system, and make sure whatever the outcome is that you're going after is truly what you want and not what you think other people want for you or what just seems good in the moment. You really need to be bought into the outcome in order to have the emotional investment to take you through that really rough and bumpy ride that every entrepreneur goes through. So on that note, I hope you found these few insights helpful. I want you to question your beliefs and know that you can do this too, because if I can do this, you can 100% do this. Talk to you soon.